Next to me is an automotive legend, the first generation Acura NSX. Built from 1990 to 2005, this was Honda's take on creating a Ferrari competitor that was more practical and more reliable. Notice I did in fact say Honda because everywhere else but North America, this was actually referred to as the Honda NSX. Now, creating a reliable supercar is no small feat, especially for a manufacturer known for the Honda Civic and the Acura Legend, but they did so in spades. And in 1990, the NSX was born, standing for New Sports Car Experimental. It was stylish, it was beautiful, but most importantly, it was rear-wheel drive, it came with a manual, and it was mid-engine. Now here's something a lot of people don't know. The chassis was actually tuned and perfected by racing legend Ayrton Senna. That's right, while they were testing the NSX at the Nürburgring, they had Ayrton Senna drive the car and provide feedback. He said the chassis was nowhere near stiff enough, so they stiffened it by 50%. In fact, this was actually the first ever production car to offer a full aluminum space frame, weighing in at just 452 pounds. In the middle of the NSX sits a 3-liter naturally aspirated V6 that makes 270 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque, and it revs up to 8,000 RPMs. Now, of course, that's not a crazy amount of power, but it was very competitive for its time. And because it weighed only 3,100 pounds, it was able to sprint from 0 to 60 in just 5.2 seconds. Now, in 1997, a year after this car was created, the engine was boosted in power. It was now a 3.2-liter V6 instead of the 3-liter and made 290 horsepower. Let's compare it to the Ferrari V8 mid-engine supercar of the time, the 348. That car made just 6 additional horsepower and it weighed 200 pounds more. And you bet it was nowhere near as reliable as the NSX. In fact, a lot of owners have seen 200,000 flawless miles in this car. Try doing that in a Ferrari. I absolutely love the way the Acura NSX looks. It's just classy. Now, this does have an aftermarket body kit, but the lines of the NSX are truly special. And I love the fact that it has those classic pop-up headlights. From the side of the NSX, you can really see how long the rear section of the car is. That long tail, the massive rear overhang was something that was really rare for the time, but it just looks absolutely fantastic. Not only does it increase high-speed stability, but it means there's room for a rear trunk. We've of course got that cool intake duct on the side, and I absolutely love the way the spoiler integrates seamlessly into the bodywork of the NSX. It just looks so good. Now, normally mid-engine supercars come with a front trunk. Not so in the NSX. Taking a look under the frunk reveals it's all a bunch of fluids and mechanical bits, and traditionally, we've got a spare tire right here. Certainly would not want to put anything important in the front. But because of that extra long tail, we've got space for a massive rear trunk, so you could truly take this on a road trip, no problem at all. Now, to open up the NSX, we've got this cool little sideways opening door handle, and opening the door reveals an interior that was actually designed based on an F-16 fighter jet and Formula One cars of the time. Now, that's actually a pretty common thing in today's supercars, but back then, nobody was designing cars off of F-16 fighter jets. Part of the reason they designed the car off of an F-16 was its 360-degree visibility. I have actually never been in a sports car that has as good a visibility as the Acura NSX does. We have these thin A pillars, thin B pillars, and you can literally see all around you with absolutely no blind spots whatsoever. The whole interior was crafted very, very well. Now, it looks a little bit dated. There's a lot of plastic bits everywhere, but so does any car from 1996 in the interior. But there are some things that I really like about it. For one, this part of the dash actually slopes away from the driver, making the interior feel a lot bigger than it actually is. Now, there isn't a ton of headroom, so if you're a taller driver, you definitely have to tilt the seat back, but taller drivers have also figured out ways to lower the seats themselves to make it more comfortable. Now, the car came available with a 5-speed manual originally, which this one has, or a 4-speed automatic.
I don't know why you would get an NSX in an automatic. Don't do that. Get it with the manual. Eventually, it was offered with a 6-speed manual, but a lot of people liked the gear ratios of the 5-speed more than the 6-speed. Now, there are some unique aspects of this car's interior. For one, it has 4 stalks behind the steering wheel. The rear ones look very strange, actually. This one, we've got our emergency flashers, and we've even got a cruise control button. Lamborghini didn't put cruise control in their cars until 2016. This was a sports car that had cruise control in 1996. Now, on the left side, we've got the lights, which turn those on, and the headlights pop up. And then, of course, we've got turn signals as well as our windshield wipers. We've also got vents for the air conditioning on the door itself. I haven't seen that on any other car. The AC, after all these years, still works extraordinarily well. The seats themselves are very comfortable and supportive. They're not too tight, so if you're a bigger human being, you'll fit in them very, very nicely. Now, there's not a ton of storage space on the inside of the NSX. There's no room behind the seats. There is a glove box, which is okay size. And we've got these very little storage spaces that apparently are good for icebreaker mints and your insurance card. That's about it. But the NSX is all about the driving experience. So let's take it for a drive and see how it handles. On the road now in the Acura NSX. And I gotta say, this car is an absolute blast to drive. It's got one of the best manual transmissions of any car that I've driven. The throws are extremely short, almost like it's got a short shift kit from the factory. And each individual gear has this perfect notch that's easy to feel, easy to get into time and time again. And the engine is just silky smooth. It revs all the way up to 8,000 RPMs. And second gear is extraordinarily tall. So in canyon roads, you almost don't have to do a heck of a lot of shifting. 6, 7, 8. And then we're into another turn and have to go back in a second. At low speeds, this car actually makes kind of 911-ish noises. And then as you get higher into the RPM range, particularly above 6,000, it starts to really wail and kind of has hints of BMW M-Car inline 6 to it. But it's got its own unique characteristics, and it's just an absolute blast to drive. Interestingly, when you hop behind the wheel of the NSX, you notice right away that it takes a lot more steering input than you'd expect in a sports car to make it around turns. You have to seriously turn the wheel. I don't know how many turns lock to lock it is, but I imagine quite a few in order to make it around turns. But the steering is nice and heavy and just feels nice. The level of communication you get between the steering, the chassis, and your body and your mind is unbelievable. No, this isn't the fastest car in the world. By no means it is, but it's just so much fun to drive. And revving it out to its 8,000 RPM red line, you can do so much more safely because you're not going all that fast. You can really build driving skills with this car. Learn how to heel toe better, learn how to maintain speed through corners better because it doesn't have all that power on corner exit. Brakes are good, although they certainly don't slow the car down like modern day vehicles. But this chassis is so balanced, it really does give you a lot of confidence behind the wheel. And I'm certainly glad they stiffened it up by 50%. Thank you, Ayrton Senna, the legend, for making this car drive so dang well. Switching things up to a first-person point of view to really give you an idea of what this thing is like. Picking up the pace a bit. Oh, it corners so beautifully. But you can see what I mean. Second gear, you can almost use exclusively out at Angeles Crest, except for the big straight so we can get it into third. And the shifter is so nice, the feeling of it and the clutch engagement, that you kind of want to shift more than you actually need to, almost unnecessarily at times, just because it's nice. Hopefully you can see, I mean, the visibility in this is absolutely insane. There's literally no blind spots. And at low speeds, it's really easy and comfortable to drive. The suspension rides over bumps well. It's not jarring whatsoever despite cornering flat. And the seats have this nice padding in them too. They keep your butt nice and comfortable. You could definitely do some serious distance behind the wheel of an NSX. I also love the steering wheel. It's not the prettiest design, but it feels great in your hands. It's got great grip at 9 and 3. And interestingly, like modern day Ferraris, we've actually got the horn on the wheel itself. One on the left and one on the right. All right, guys, I'm gonna shut up now, let you listen to that beautiful V6. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.